Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex, with my co-host here, Anthony Rivardo, and today we want to give a little bit of insight into whether or not the Giants should consider retaining Patrick Graham on the coaching staff, or they should let him walk and go out and find another coach to fill that vacancy. Now, we know that Joe Judge and Patrick Graham were really close. We know that he kind of took that job to be with Judge, and really, he said it was his dream job when he first took it. And now we're kind of in this weird transition phase where we don't know who the next head coach is going to be, the offensive coordinator, or defensive coordinator. But I will say this, and the logic makes sense to me, and I want to get your take on it, Anthony. If the Giants want to go with an offensive-minded coach like a Brian Daboll, let's say just Brian Daboll is the offensive-minded coach, designs and helps develop schemes with the Buffalo Bills currently. Obviously just not knocked out of the postseason, but a hell of an offensive performance nonetheless by that team. I kind of feel as though an offensive-minded coach, if they were to be hired for the Giants job, could focus on the offense while Patrick Graham could still maintain and manage the defense without much assistance, right? I kind of like the fact if they were to go in that direction that the head coach could put more effort and time into solving this offense and getting it to at least a competent level, far above what we saw last season, and let the continuity that Patrick Graham would bring to the job, because he has been doing it for the last 2 years, kind of let that smooth itself over. Let Patrick Graham manage the DC spot, manage the players, help in that regard. Maybe take on a little bit more responsibility. I know he was the assistant head coach last year as well. So I kind of feel that might be a benefit and a positive. A lot of people have said, just let Patrick Graham walk, clean slate. Let's go target maybe a Wink Martindale, who was fired from the Ravens. Definitely an idea that I do want to discuss as well, Anthony. But before we dive into the good stuff, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great, and I gotta say off the bat, in all likelihood, I don't think Patrick Graham will stay as defensive coordinator of the Giants. Keep in mind, the Giants are actually planning on interviewing Patrick Graham for their head coaching position, and he seems like he's pretty eager to get a head coaching position now. I think that he was fine staying with the Giants as a DC as long as head coach Joe Judge remained, but since Joe Judge is gone, I think Patrick Graham is kind of looking elsewhere, looking to see if he can get his own head coaching job, because in a very messy New York Giants environment, consistently, the defense was the only thing that ever really stood out in a positive way for us over the past 2 years under Joe Judge. So Patrick Graham, one of the smartest minds defensively in football, in my opinion. And another thing that I'll mention is Joe Shane coming over from Buffalo. A lot of people think that the Giants are going to go ahead with an offensive head coach. Well, that might not be the case. They might go with a defensive minded head coach. What do the Buffalo Bills have? Well, Sean McDermott is a defensive minded head coach, and they just have a great offensive coordinator working alongside him and running the offense in Brian Daboll. Now, of course, Brian Daboll seems to be the front runner for the Giants head coaching position, and you all know that I love that. I think that's really exciting and think that he would be great as a head coach, but I wouldn't put it past Joe Shane to go ahead, find a really strong defensive mind to lead the team as the head coach, and then just find a really good offensive coordinator to control the offense on his own. So keep that in mind. If they're going to go with the Buffalo Bills structure, the Buffalo Bills are actually structured in a way where a defensive minded head coach is remaining in place. So that is actually a pretty good way to advocate for Patrick Graham as a potential head coaching candidate for the Giants. But if he stays as DC, I would love that. He's been great over the last 2 years. The players love him, and he really is one of the brightest defensive minds in this sport.
Look, he's smart as hell. There's no doubt about it. I really like Patrick Graham at defensive coordinator now. He's getting head coaching opportunities, as we know, and he's also actually interviewing with the Pittsburgh Steelers for their vacant DC spot. Now, if he wants to go to a better team with a better culture right now, that's really set up to succeed, given they get a new quarterback who can take that step forward. Pittsburgh's a hell of a place to go. You got TJ Watt. You have a phenomenal base of talent and players to start off, and equal, if not much greater than the Giants. But I will say this: the Giants defense has played at a high level. If you look at the statistics from last season, it really tells a story that Patrick Graham and that defensive unit never had a chance. They literally never had a chance. The Giants turned the ball over on offense more times than any other team in the league last year, this past regular season rather. 30 times they turned the ball over, and I think they collected about 22 turnovers themselves on the defensive side. Now, if you factor in the context that goes with turnovers specifically for this Giants team, they barely got any ball movement, right? The Giants barely ever were able to move the football. A lot of their turnovers came in their own half of the field. So when you think about it, the defense was put in positions where they had no support in terms of positioning. Their field positioning was always a negative. They were always trying to fight back against that. They were gassed by that second half because the offense couldn't stay on the field. The time of possession was very, very lopsided. And Patrick Graham tried to go back to this cover one scheme. The Giants thought they had something on offense to start the year. They thought they were going to take a step forward. They went out and got Kenny Galladay. They got Saquon Barkley coming back. They drafted Kadarius Toney. They felt a little bit better about their offensive line. And that's why the Giants went out and went with this more cover one heavy blitzing system. Because if you look at the Baltimore Ravens, if you look at the Bills, if you look at even the Chiefs, they blitz and they blitz and they blitz, right? And it turns out well a lot of the time. And last night it was a little bit different in the Buffalo Chiefs game because they were just kind of firing at each other out. Like when you have two quarterbacks at that level of play, they can figure it out pretty quickly. But teams like Baltimore have done a tremendous job utilizing the blitz to their advantage and capitalizing because of it. The Giants tried to do something similar. They thought, our offense could be competent. Let's blitz, be aggressive, try and turn the ball over more on the other side, and give our offense better field position. Now, that backfired tremendously because the offense struggled right out of the gate. They had no chemistry, no momentum. The offensive line was abysmal. It really was just terrible from day one. And they quickly realized and to throw into the mix there, a lot of the players are more I guess used to the zone concepts that they ran in 2020. So they kind of reverted back to that zone coverage system and those spies and those kind of those ghost coverages and shifting around Logan Ryan and Xavier McKinney, doing things with them. Blake Martinez going down really hurt. But in my opinion, the zone coverage was always going to be the better version for the Giants because of one simple reason. They really needed a bend, don't break defense. They could not sustain a aggressive style defense that gave up big plays, but also curated big plays, right? That's what a lot of, like, if you look at the Baltimore Ravens, they gave up a lot of big plays, but they also hit home. They create a lot of third downs. They create a lot of turnovers because of that aggressive mentality and style. The Giants tried that, but they realized we need a bend, don't break defense because our offense can't sustain that type of aggression on the defensive side. So we quickly transitioned back to the zone, and we saw a lot of success from the defense during the middle portions of the field until the injury started to kick in and guys got gassed. Time of possession, lopsided games are just getting really out of hand. Just kind of lack of confidence overall, Anthony. I think that Patrick Graham is a phenomenal defensive coordinator. I just think the Giants offense put him in a spot where he was never able to succeed last season. And in 2020, he was able to succeed despite having a bad defense, or bad offense rather. So I know for a fact that he can be a great option there. I would be more than fine keeping him. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on those points that I made.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And one criticism of Patrick Graham, first half of this season was pretty poor, right? They switched the scheme and it did not go well. But he adjusted. He did adjust. Over the final, I think, 6 games of the season, the Giants defense honestly balled out like one of the best units in the NFL. And that is a lot of the credit goes to Patrick Graham because he really did adjust. He switched the defense, tried to play a lot more man coverage, a lot more single high safety, realized, okay, you know what? We actually don't have the personnel to do this. I thought we did, but we don't. So let's switch this up, go back to the zone coverage defense that worked last season, and put together a good show for the final 6 games. And that's exactly what the Giants did. And, I agree with you. The offense did the defense zero favors at all. I mean, when the offense is just never on the field, then the defense is just always on the field. And that makes life really difficult for a defensive coordinator. You probably pick out however many plays per game, right? They had a certain scheme that was ready to go through so many drives and so many plays. And then when they're just on the field for way longer than they're expecting to be, then they got to start pulling plays out of the archives and figuring it out. You only game plan for as much time as you're expecting to have. And when you're just always on the field, you just run out of options, right? For the Giants defense. That's what happened so many times this season. The Giants offense gets the ball, fumble, defense is right back on the field. Gets the ball, 3-and-out, punt, defense is right back on the field. That happened time and time and time and time and time again. Giants offense was just that bad this year. I mean, it was really so putrid to watch. So, of course, with Patrick Graham and the things that he was able to do with this defense, another thing, I think that he is really creative in the way that he uses certain players. Now, we talked a lot about how on the offensive side of the ball, Jason Garrett, the Giants offense, they didn't know how to use their players, right? Kadarius Toney, we felt, was very mismanaged, very misused. Kenny Galladay was misused. Saquon Barkley was misused. Evan Engram was definitely misused. But you go ahead and look at the defensive side of the ball. I think that players like James Bradbury was used very well over the past 2 years. Jabril Peppers, when he was healthy, was used in a variety of creative ways, and they really did extract as much talent out of him as possible. I thought that he did reach arguably his fullest potential last season, working in that defense with Patrick Graham. Julian Love, they use him in so many different ways, and he's always playing well. Darnay Holmes is always out there making some certain plays because they're moving him around. And of course, Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, the way that Patrick Graham and Sean Spencer schemed together the defensive game plan for those guys up front was really impressive. They were always put into solid positions to make plays. So I think that he knows how to get the most out of his players, and I think that's something that you couldn't say for the offensive side of the ball for the Giants this year. So that alone bodes really well for Patrick Graham. But of course, I think arguably the number one argument here for the Giants keeping Patrick Graham is the fact that it brings continuity to this team. They're doing a full reboot, right? The offensive coaching staff is gone. It's going to be gutted. The front office seems like it's going to be gutted. But if you could at least keep something in place to keep some sort of continuity, because like I said, the only thing that was like really positive for the Giants this past year was the defense. So if you can at least hold the defensive coordinator in place and carry over some of the success that the Giants have had defensively over the last 2 years into 2022, I'm all for that. And that's why I really hope Patrick Graham is able to stick around. But like I said at the beginning of this video, there are multiple teams inquiring to interview Patrick Graham for a head coaching position, and I'm starting to think that he just might land a job somewhere.
I personally don't think he's going to get one this cycle after the season the Giants just had. I think that coming off a really big year next year, he actually might be in a better spot to go and get a head coaching position. But, best of luck to him. I hope he gets it. He really deserves it. He's a smart as hell guy, Yale graduate. We've certainly seen him do some great things in the past. But I will say this. He does have connections to both Brian Flores and Brian Dable. So whoever ends up being the head coach of the Giants could easily say, we want Patrick Graham on this team. He was the defensive coordinator for Miami when Flores was there, but Flores ended up, firing him or getting rid of him because he wanted to take over more control on the defensive side. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. Please let me know if you know exactly what happened in the comments. But Patrick Graham leaves. Flores takes over more control of the defense. So maybe if Flores were to come here, he would be like, I want full control. I don't want Patrick Graham here. Maybe he says, I want him here. So we'll see what happens with that. But Dable has experience with Patrick Graham back in the Patriots system back in 2013 to 16. Actually, Flores, Dable, and Patrick Graham were all there during those 3 seasons. So really interesting connection to make there. I imagine that Joe Shane, Brian Dable, and Patrick Graham know each other. They get along. They would probably be more than happy offering him that DC job back and just remaining a little bit of continuity. Ownership really likes him. So I think that there's something to speak about that, they're kind of there's rumors out there that Patrick Graham is well liked in the building that do want to keep him. But again, they can't hold him back from going to interview. And I hope he gets a head coaching job because he deserves it. He's a great guy and a great leader of men. So that's something to put out there as well. But Anthony, is there anything else you have on your mind? I know Joe Shane's going to be speaking on Wednesday afternoon, so we'll cover all of those comments and see what he has to say about that. So that'll be really exciting. His first opportunity to give us some positive thoughts towards the fan base. And, I'm going to take everything with a grain of salt because I really want to be a little bit more objective this year and, let them act. Let the actions speak for their words and don't let the words speak before they've done anything because we've fallen down that trap before. The trap door is, I'm covering that thing up, putting the carpet over it. I don't want to see that. I just want to see action. I don't want to see any words. And I hope that Joe Shane comes out and says, I know you guys are tired of losing and I'm going to act. I'm going to show you why I'm the right man for this job. I don't want to rah this fan base and that would be kind of a subliminal shot at Joe Judge and Dave Gettleman. But hey, at this point, I'll take it because we need to turn a chapter. We need a new culture here. We need a lot of new things. That front office definitely going to get shaken up, Anthony. Are you excited to hear Joe Shane speak for the first time on Wednesday?
Yeah, I can't wait. I think that's really exciting. It's a new voice that's leading the New York Giants into a new era. This is really exciting. I can't wait to hear Joe Shane speak. And of course, I'm excited to react to everything that he has to say and cover it on this channel, cover it on Fireside Giants because, it's Joe Shane. He's the new general manager. Aren't we all super excited for the fact that Dave Gettleman is no longer doing these press conferences? He was the worst to listen to. Sure, he had a couple moments every now and then where he would say something really stupid that made us laugh, but I don't really want my GM saying stupid things that make me laugh anymore. I want them to say really thoughtful and intelligent things that give me hope that our football team might turn around and be good in the future. So hopefully that's what Joe Shane does. It's just an intro press conference, so you can't expect too much. But, he's probably going to touch on the fact that they're looking for a head coach and they're preparing for the draft and all those kind of things. So I'm really excited for that, and a huge fan of Joe Shane, big supporter.
Absolutely. So, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this Fireside Giants episode. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for another one. We're gonna maybe take a look at Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft. Excuse me. I had some really great selections there, and I know Daniel. I know Anthony's a really big fan of Daniel Jeremiah, so he definitely takes his opinion pretty significantly, and we'll take a look at those and react accordingly. Make sure to like and subscribe as always on the YouTube channel, my friends, and sign up and subscribe to our podcast on Spotify and Apple as always. Much love, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.